I'm Andy McGibbon, the founder of theandygram.com. I'm talking with Dave Lefkowitz on Dave's Gone By on UNC Radio.
Big category to talk about here on the 10th annual Total Theater Tony Show. One of the biggest of all, Best New Musical of the Year. And for that, I'm bringing someone on who has not been on Dave's Gone By before. I'm very excited about this, even though I've known him now for about 20 years. We used to work together. Now he is the founder and publisher of theandygram.com, full of theater reviews. He's also worked on the Tony Awards website, bunch of other theater-related websites. He's a member of the American Theater Critics Association and Actors Equity, and even AFTRA. Ooh, he's Andy McGibbon, and we welcome him to the Daverhood for the first time. Welcome, Andy.
Well, thank you very much, Dave.
Tell us a little bit, first of all, about the Andygram. How did you found it? It's about 5 years old now, right? What is it?
Yeah, we just turned five. It just turned 5 years old. I had a desire to write and to have a place for my voice. And it was around the same time that I was finishing up working with the Tony Awards and was moving on to Jazz at Lincoln Center. And I felt I wanted to keep my hand fully engaged with the business and continue to know what was going on. And so I started the Andygram. I never anticipated being a critic, but it just happened.
And now the irony is that it's a successful website. You've been doing it for a couple of years, but you also have a major gig now at New Jersey Performing Arts Center. So you have other people doing the reviews for you that you don't even have time to do.
That's correct, yeah. And I've been adding, they have just added a new critic in Chicago. I have a gentleman in Toronto who writes for me, and I have two other guys in New York at the moment who help pick up the slack and provide a little more color and a little more breadth to what I normally cover, which has traditionally been Broadway, though I certainly do like to expand out as time permits. But as you mentioned, I'm fully engaged at NJPAC in Newark, where I'm the Director of Digital Media.
Director of Digital Media. And very quickly...
Very important, doesn't it?
What is it? What do you do?
Well, I manage the website, and I manage any of the digital marketing aspects of the marketing department. Online advertising, I deal with web analytics, emails, and email analytics, and things of that nature, and finding the best way to get things out there to the public from a digital standpoint.
Cool. Well, let's get out there to the public with the category of Best Musical of the Year, according to the Tony nominators at least, with Andy McGibbon here on the Total Theater Tony Show. So the nominees are After Midnight, Aladdin, Beautiful, the Carole King musical, and A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Andy, your thoughts on each of those, first of all, like After Midnight.
After Midnight, I absolutely adored. Mm-hmm. Absolutely adored After Midnight. It is a top-notch piece of work. It's got amazing performers vocally. It has an amazing band and fascinating concept of rotating in and out the guest stars, getting people to come back and see it more than once, but that's more my marketing hat than my critic hat. But I just loved it. When I was at Jazz at Lincoln Center, they produced it at City Center for 2 nights under the name of Cotton Club Parade.
Right.
I love it. I think it's terrific. A very worthy nominee in that category.
Okay. Now it's up against the Disney musical Aladdin, featuring music by Alan Menken and lyrics by the late Howard Ashman. Tim Rice kind of taking on the slack. Your thoughts on Aladdin?
It's hard to go to this show and not enjoy yourself. It's high energy, it's lots of color, it's those great songs that we all know so well by now from
the movie.
It really is delightful, and it was in no way cheesy. I thought it really was a terrific production.
So it's a worthy nominee.
Absolutely.
Okay. There are people who would say, and I'm kind of maybe among them, that perhaps Big Fish could have taken a slot here. I don't know if you saw that one.
Not a fan.
Oh, okay.
I was not a fan. I just found it terribly wanting and just rather boring.
Okay, wow. And Bullets Over Broadway?
Bullets Over Broadway? It's still, I think, I was making a list of all of the things that did not get nominated in this category, and every one of them, you can sort of go down the list and look at them and find the deficiency.
So let's say for Bridges of Madison County, deficiency would be boring?
Boring.
Okay.
Boring. Stunning music, boring overall experience.
Right. If then, was the deficiency there?
And I have to bow out of this argument then because I did not see it.
Okay, fair enough. And Rocky?
Rocky, really spectacularly presented and performed very boring music. I'm an Ahrens and Flaherty fan, big time, but I was very, very disappointed.
I guess you would say that's the deficiency of Bullets Over Broadway as well, because it doesn't have a new score. A lot of critics are complaining about that.
The problem with Bullets Over Broadway is that it just tried to cram so many numbers in there, and some of them just kind of were like, well, all right. You kind of grimaced as it went by.
Right.
No title is coming to mind right at this moment. Well, except for at the end when, yes, we have no bananas. I mean...
Which made no sense at all, come to think of it.
No sense at all.
Yeah.
And the fact that you've got Vincent Pastore up there singing, yes, what?
A little bit of absurdity, that's all.
Stroman's musical numbers were phenomenal. I loved the costumes. William Ivy Long's costumes were fantastic. The lighting, everything. It was really quite good. Even the script, I liked the script. I did not like the woman playing Olive. And I also felt that Zach Braff was a little bit on the dull side.
Yeah, he was doing too much of cringing the whole show.
Well, as I said in my review, it looks like he was mimicking Woody Allen.
A lot of people have said that. But, we're talking so much about shows that did not get nominated for Best Musical. And let's not leave out the two other candidates that are on the slate, and those include Beautiful, the Carole King musical, which, by the way, has a book by Douglas McGrath, and songs, of course, by Carole King and Jerry Goffin, Mann, and Weil. Your thoughts?
I thought Beautiful was wonderful. I thought it was a really enjoyable piece. I think, again, another worthy contender, especially when you stack it up against the stuff that was not nominated. Was it a perfect book? No. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was beautifully done, and you can't beat that music.
Well, no, but is it fair to put that music up against people who are writing original scores?
That's, frankly, to say the same exact thing about Aladdin and After Midnight.
Sure, yeah.
That is, when we get to that point at the end of this interview where we discuss, all right, who do I think will win, who do I think should win, you're going to see me hesitate only because so much of these musicals were already written. They were written for something else, and they were just used.
But then again, that didn't necessarily matter for the musical Once, a year or two ago, that used essentially music from the movie.
That's right.
The movie was wonderful, the show was wonderful, the show won the Tony. So, the voters may not necessarily worry about that, but we do have that other contender that does, have original music and an original book, even though it was based on a movie, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder.
This is a hard one for me because I wanted to love this. It wasn't as satisfying to me as I wanted it to be. It wasn't as funny as those commercials on TV keep telling you it is. He was marvelous, I think,
Jefferson Mays, yeah.
Yeah, Jefferson Mays was just incredible. But you know what I kept comparing it to?
What?
The Mystery of Edwin Drood, where they were literally on 1 second, off the next. They go out as a man, they come back as a woman. It was this hyped up energy. It just seemed missing from this. It was all very clever.
Yeah.
I wasn't much of a fan of the score. Some of it's okay. It seems to me very reminiscent of Edwin Drood for some reason.
It's funny, I have to say that I much prefer this to Drood. Not a Drood fan.
Okay.
So, and for me, this does what Drood does, but better. So, that's why we're both critics, and that's why it's a horse race. So, Andrew McGibbon, if you were voting, you would not vote for A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. Which would you vote for Best Musical?
After Midnight.
Ooh. Because it was the most overall flawless and successful piece?
It was just so slick and beautiful and well danced and well put together. Really a fascinating mix of old and new, and how beautifully it was blended together. It just was magnificent.
Do you think the Tony voters will agree?
I do not.
What do you think they will pick?
I think the Tony voters are going to go with A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder.
I think so too, although I think Beautiful might be a dark horse here. Nobody doesn't like beautiful. Whereas there are people like you who are like, Gentleman's Guide, and etc. So, I don't know. There could be a possible surprise. And surprise us very quickly, Andy McGibbon. Last question for you. What was your favorite show on off Broadway, even in New Jersey, this past season?
I would have to say probably Hedwig.
Oh, why?
I really loved Hedwig. I just thought it was every bit as edgy as it needed to be. Neil Patrick Harris outdoes himself. He really is quite something to watch. Just hearing him poke fun at Bob Wankel, the head of the Schubert organization, was sort of delightful in that he got away with that.
Right, yeah.
It's an infectious score. I've always loved the score, and Neil Patrick Harris does amazing things, and I think if I'm allowed to stray into another category, I think we may have our best actor in a musical right there.
He's up against Jefferson Mays, so...
I know, but Jefferson's already won.
We'll have to see.
We will. June 8th, we will see.
June 8th on CBS, but thank you for joining us the day before here on the Total Theater Tony Show. Best of luck and success with the Andygram and also all the work that you do digitally for NJ Pack and other things. Thank you so much, Andy McGibbon, for being with us in the neighborhood.